ShopGearNetwork.com.
This is a Gear Network production.
Broadcasting worldwide on GearNetwork.com, sharing wrestling news and opinions. It's Talking Wrestling, and your host, JC.
Hello, everybody! Season premiere time of the Talking Wrestling podcast, right here on the Gear Radio Network. This is season number 4. We're starting the 4th season, and I couldn't be happier to be doing it. How's it going, everybody? My name is John Samino, aka JC Money, for those of you that attended that one show this year that I was a part of in wrestling gear. But you can find me at the JC Money on the Twitter. And joining me, believe it or not, I have a co-host. This is why the season premiere is so big. It's big because I actually have a co-host this time.
True story.
For at least this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, riding shotgun with me via the Skype line, Mr. Eric Emanon. Eric, say hello.
What's going on, Talking Wrestling? It's good to be back.
All right, and before we get down and dirty to what we're going to talk about today, I must remind you all, this podcast and every podcast on this network sponsored by the fine folks over at ShopGear.com. Hey, it's Amazon. You shop Amazon.com anyways, but just use our link. It's ShopGear.com. It's a redirect link. It tells Amazon that we referred you. You help us out. It's helping a brother out, and I appreciate all the many years that you all have done this, and I respectfully and kindly ask you to continue to do so. All right, so ShopGear.com, proud sponsors of Talking Wrestling and the Gear Radio Network. All right, Eric, my man, what is good? We are recording, breaking down the wall here. We are recording on a Saturday. I'm not sure if we're going to release this tonight. We might, depending on how everything goes, or on Wrestlemania Sunday, but you are one night removed from the IWF Shamrocks and Headlocks. Shamrocks and Headlocks. I need to stop. But that was for you, Ron. 1 day removed. Give us a quick little rundown on just the vibe and how that was yesterday. How was the show?
It was awesome. Brockport, New York, as always. It seems to just build and build and build and build. Not just the audience, but the emotion, the intensity. It was an awesome show, literally from the first match all the way to the main event, which was just this crazy War Games cage match. And I got to tell you, it was one of the most wild things I've ever seen in my entire life, especially with, we had guys coming back beat up, bruised, broken, bloodied. Tank Abrams, broken nose, came back looking like Tank WK. It was a crazy night. We saw Mark House lose the IWF title to Jordan Lennox and then regain it back from Jordan Lennox in the same night.
Yeah, when I heard that, when you told me that earlier, that House lost to Jordan Lennox, I'm like, Jordan Lennox, really? I mean, I know he just kind of came back onto the scene, and he was kind of big during the Pier 6 days, and incidentally, I beat Jordan Lennox. Beat ya, boy. Ha ha, 1-0. But anyways, I've always thought, highly of him as far as his talent and everything is concerned, and the fact that he was able to defeat, I believe, as it was told to me, he actually pinned Mike Skyros, right?
Yep. So it was a triple threat match, and as professional wrestling goes, a triple threat match is one of the most dangerous matches. A multi-man match in the wrestling universe is one of the most dangerous matches as a champion because you don't actually have to lose your title. And going into the match, I think that's something Mark House knew. The cards are definitely stacked against me at this point. I don't have to be pinned to lose, and that just ended up happening. Mike Skyros got pinned, and essentially Mark House lost his title. Jordan Lennox went on to say, I'm just kind of going off the heezy, as I said earlier.
Easy.
He said, I won my first heavyweight title in my 6 years of wrestling. This is awesome that I was able to do it here, but I don't really feel like I'm going to be the champion unless I beat the champion. So more or less, he invoked Mark House's rematch clause right there for him, offering him a shot to beat the champ, if you will. And, I thought literally as soon as the bell rang and it was Mark House and Jordan Lennox right there, I thought it was over right at the beginning. Lennox hit him 2 big moves, bop, bop. Down on the ground goes Mark. 1, 2, in 3/8. I swear it might as well have been a 3 count with how close it was. And Mark kicked out, and they battled, and Mark ended up getting the upper hand shortly after. It was kind of poetic the way it happened. Is the easiest way to say it.
And it's funny when you talk about that, and you mentioned the result to me earlier today. Not very many shows locally have ended in that manner, and that is kind of. And I don't want to keep referencing my time in January, but that's all I have to go by this year. It's my only match in January. But it's just there's something about IWF that draws a different kind of thing. Like, for example, the Battle Royal that I was a part of, or the Royal Rumble rather, that I was a part of there. Most of those kind of Royal Rumbles are more or less the quote unquote ticket seller. They throw a bunch of people in there. It's just kind of a time filler. This particular Royal Rumble was brought up as something different, and because of that, it was treated differently, and it ended differently than most Royal Rumbles.
Absolutely. And IWF.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Yeah, IWF is in the business of making moments, with pro wrestling being a bonus. IWF is in the business of making moments, with pro wrestling being a bonus. IWF is there to tell a story. It is to entertain you while giving you professional wrestling, which a lot of indie companies are just there for the heart and soul of wrestling. And IWF has that, but they want to take it a step further and give you those moments. And like you said, that the Battle Royal that you were in, it was the Marla Hanson Memorial Battle Royal. It was more than just like you said, a ticket seller kind of gimmick. It was more important. There was more to it. And I really feel like every match that IWF has, they like to tell a story. It's not a matter of just going out there and having a wrestling match.
Right, absolutely, and to the point that I was trying to make, it just seems that IWF is doing different things from the norm, and I like that. So when I read that result, I wanted to talk to you about that, and thought that was a pretty cool way to kind of end the show and more or less advance what was going on. So
yeah.
Pretty cool. But all right, Eric, as you well know, and as the episode title indicates here, it is Wrestlemania weekend. And Wrestlemania weekend is, of course, the Holy Grail, if you will, the Super Bowl for all of us wrestlers and wrestling fans, my friend. And WWE Hall of Fame was actually last night as of recording. Did you happen to catch any of that?
I did not. I was busy doing the wrestles, like you said, in Brockport. So I was busy doing in-ring work, and I'm probably going to end up watching it this evening. But everything I heard about it from top to bottom was amazing. From DDP, Kurt Angle. I mean, Kurt Angle, of all people, I never thought I would see him come home to the WWE.
Oh, I thought it was inevitable. I thought it was inevitable for Kurt Angle to return to WWE because, when you think of his situation and what happened with him being released, it wasn't like he was released because he was doing something bad or he burnt his bridge or something like that. It was a health issue that was going on that he needed to kind of get a grip on. And he requested his release and WWE granted it. Now, I think that was a good thing for him long term, but selfishly, the WWE fan in me, God, could you have imagined what else he would have added on top of his impressive resume had he remained in WWE that entire time?
I think it took away special moments for some of the guys that were there. I think one of my dream matches, one of my top matches that I would have loved to see would have been Daniel Bryan versus Kurt Angle.
Yes, that would have been tremendous to see. I think that could have very well been. And of course, we all know WWE's schedule is hectic, but though that's not really to say that Kurt Angle would not have gone to a part-time status like The Undertaker did starting in 2010 or whatever he did. But yes, those type of matches that I could have envisioned Daniel Bryan versus Kurt Angle as the proverbial torch passing kind of thing. Of course, before Bryan's untimely injury that took him out, but needless to say, the Hall of Fame was a great time. I watched it from start to finish, and it was amazing. And you'll get a kick out of this. The Beth Phoenix induction.
Yes.
They did a little special like Edge shout out, and it was done hilariously. It was good. It was good all around. And then, of course, the Rock and Roll Express were inducted, and Robert Gibson looked like he's not the speaker of the team, obviously. Ricky Morton is. So Ricky Morton kind of saved that, and I definitely enjoyed the end of that particular speech. It was nice. But in any event, WrestleMania, the main card, my man. The biggest thing of them all, 5 p.m. start time for those of you. So that's going to be like a good solid 6 hours of WWE programming that you're going to be watching.
As if the 3 hours Raw. 3 hours Raw was enough.
Right. So 6 hours of wall-to-wall WrestleMania programming, and it's going to kick off with 2 matches in the pre-show, and I'm going to go over those now. For the first time in 10 years, the WWE Cruiserweight Championship will be on the line at a WrestleMania. Pre-show or not, it's still WrestleMania. Neville, the champion, defends against Austin Aries, the challenger. Eric, who do you see winning this particular match? We've got Neville, who's the self-proclaimed king of the cruiserweights, putting the division on his back. You know, he's the strong heel type there, but then Austin Aries is over like Rover, and, you know, the WWE is trying to do something big with this cruiserweight division. These are 2 good representations, I think, to have in that division at the biggest card of them all. Neville, Austin Aries, who you got?
So, you know, like you said, Neville, ever since his heel turn, going from, you know, obviously the man that gravity forgot with his impressive moveset, everything he did coming back, you know, with his heel turn, even going into the Cruiserweight tournament in the UK, like it was just he's been mind blowing, and he's been more or less unstoppable. You know, he deserves the term, or, you know, the moniker King of the Cruiserweights. He deserves every last bit of it with his work rate and how he's been performing. But, you know, Austin Aries, it's one of those guys that you look at him and you go, it's only a matter of time before he is where he needs to be. And right now at WrestleMania, I am taking Austin Aries over Neville.
Oh, you got Austin Aries over. You know what? I will give you Austin Aries is scary good. He really is. I just think that having Austin Aries go from being the commentator during his injury to just randomly challenging him at WrestleMania, I don't know. Something about that strikes me as it's not quite the build I think that they might have wanted. Not 100% sure, but they don't necessarily treat the Cruiserweight title like they do another one of the main titles where there's a long storyline with it.
Absolutely.
I almost kind of get the vibe that they treat it like a, you know, UFC light heavyweight title, or, you know, like just random challengers come in and fight for the title, and you know, if you win, you win. If you lose, oh well, it's on to the next one. But either way, I've got Neville. I'm going to take Neville. I'm going to go against you there, Eric.
Okay.
All right, the 2017 Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. The confirmed entrants are Mojo Rawley, Apollo Crews, Big Show, Kurt Hawkins, Braun Strowman, The Golden Truth, The Shining Stars, Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas, Jinder Mahal, Sami Zayn, Fandango, Tyler Breeze, Dolph Ziggler, Rhino, Heath Slater, Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, The Usos, The Ascension, The Vaudevillains, Kalisto, Sin Cara, Titus O'Neil. You still with me here?
Yes, I am.
Mark Henry and Tian Bing. I'm not sure exactly how you say his name. WWE's first official Chinese professional wrestler they just recently signed to NXT. He is going to be a part of this Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I am slightly disappointed that Luke Harper is not in there, but, you know, notwithstanding, who do you see taking that step and winning the Andre the Giant Battle Royal? There have been 3 winners now. Cesaro was the first, Big Show was the second, Baron Corbin was the third. Who's the fourth?
So my mind wants to say Big Show to give him kind of the send-off. I know that they had originally had slated Big Show against Shaq at WrestleMania. I think that would have been a cool moment. But, you know, obviously that got pulled from the card due to Shaq.
Yeah,
I think it was their health, or he couldn't get in shape in time. But
he's just too fat. I love Shaq, but you look at him sitting behind the desk on NBA and TNT, man. He's not the Diesel.
Originally, my mind said, you know, they'd probably give it to Big Show, but he's already won it, so I don't really think they'd give it to him again. I really, and this is going to probably be an unpopular opinion, but I think they might give it to Mojo Rawley.
Really, Mojo Rawley? Why do you say that?
You know, he's he's been doing his, hype bros with Zack Ryder, and I don't know. I've just seen him kind of everywhere recently, and I don't think it's like ironic that I'm seeing him everywhere. Personally, I'm not a huge Mojo Rawley fan. I just feel like he's one of those guys where you see the name and you're like, oh, he doesn't fit there, and there's probably a reason. So, they usually they did it with Baron Corbin where, he won the tournament, and then you saw him on SmackDown the next, that next week, and he's standing there with the trophy, and they were trying to push Baron Corbin. He was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. I think that they're going to use this kind of as a platform to push another big guy. And Mojo Rawley, I think, has, what it takes, with the football background that he had, and how long he's been down in the NXT area. I think that it might be his time.
I get the vibe with Mojo Rawley that WWE is trying to turn him into their own version of Rob Gronkowski.
Yep.
And I believe that they are personal friends in real life.
They are. There was a video that was going around the internet of Rob Gronkowski just chopping him, asking him if he was ready. And he's like, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready. I'm hyped. And I'm like, oh, those aren't wrestler chops. Those are just somebody slapping you really hard in the chest.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so you've got Mojo Rawley. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with the obvious choice to me, Braun Strowman. They've been pushing him to the moon up until a certain point. At one point, we thought it was going to be a triple threat match with The Undertaker, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman, the way that it looked like they were setting it up. But then they ended up, putting Strowman into the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I mean, with Kane's days kind of dwindling down, with The Undertaker's annual, this is his last WrestleMania match thing going on, which this very well may be Taker's last WrestleMania match, although we've been saying that for the past 10 years, I feel.
Right.
The WWE is in need of giants, I think,
Yes.
and Braun Strowman truly fits that giant mold. Like he's, 6'10" or 6'9" and 300 and some odd pounds. And that's not to say that they don't have other very, very large men there, like Luke Harper, for example. He's a very, very large guy, 6'6" and 275. But, Braun Strowman's kind of that extra giant kind of guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. And Braun Strowman, he's won me over in the past year, especially with his work with Sami Zayn. I got the pleasure to watch those two work when they did that house show here up in Rochester, New York. And, it was great to see David versus Goliath match where David wasn't getting destroyed the whole match, and it was something where the fight was believable and the story they told was great. And he's got a great character. He's got a great build. He's not just a big guy. He's a big muscular guy who looks like he could throw somebody 5 rows deep, 10 rows deep into the audience. So,
absolutely.
he is that force.
You know what he has too is he has a personality to him that right now you're seeing his character. But I listened to him on Steve Austin's podcast, months ago, and he's really what it boils down to is he's a big old country boy, and he was just talking and yucking it up and laughing with Steve Austin, and I'm like, this guy, if they really wanted to push him to be, I don't want to go way far back and predate you, Eric, and say Uncle Elmer, but if they want to, make him like that kind of character, he could probably pull it off, although I like the Braun Strowman monster character better anyways. So, all right, for the pre-show, Eric has Austin Aries winning the Cruiserweight Championship. I have Neville. Eric has Mojo Rawley winning the Memorial Battle Royal. I have Braun Strowman. All right, on to the main show, my man.
Let's do it.
I don't know if this is the exact order of the card. I just saw the way it was listed, and then I wrote it in the opposite direction. So this is probably not the exact order of the card, but I digress. Freshly moved from the pre-show to the main show. 6-pack challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship. You have the champion Alexa Bliss defending against Becky Lynch, Natalya, Mickie James, Carmella, and Naomi. Again, the women's division has gotten a complete revival, retool, revamp, whatever you want to call it. and has been launched and is doing very, very well for itself. Who do you see having their SmackDown Women's Division WrestleMania moment, Eric?
I honestly think Alexa Bliss is going to keep it. She's probably one of my favorite women wrestlers on the roster right now. She, her attitude, her character, her charisma, her in-ring skills. I think that, it's going to be one of those things where, because there's so many people involved, I think it's going to come down to whoever's kind of in the right situation at the right time. And I think Alexa Bliss has the ability to do that. I think she retains.
I'm going to actually agree with you on that one. The way I see it playing out is they've kind of given Mickie James, the returning veteran, kind of going for one last run, one last hurrah kind of deal. And something tells me, because it's kind of been centered around Becky Lynch and Naomi chasing Alexa Bliss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mickie James is kind of the forgotten old warrior, if you will.
Yep.
I don't know if this is an elimination. I'm not sure if that six-pack challenge rules. Not entirely too sure, but I think it's going to boil down to Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. A couple of falsies in there, hopes for, it looks like Mickie James is going to reclaim glory and then, have it snatched away from her. But I agree with you. I'm going to take Alexa Bliss on that one as well. Triple threat ladder match for the Raw Tag Team Championship. My personal favorite tag team, aside from the IndyCar Mafia. Gallows and Anderson defending the tag team championships against Enzo and Cass and Cesaro and Sheamus. Eric, who you got?
So I love the club. I love everything they've done. I really think they've been underbooked in their entire time that they've been with the WWE. I really think that they haven't really had their, time to shine, if you will. They had their run with the New Day, and it was a lot of comedy. And, I know they don't care because, the payday's the same. They show up, they get to do comedy and not destroy their bodies.
Well,
awesome.
if you followed them too and you hear of their stories,
absolutely,
they're really all about busting balls and having a good time, outside of everything. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to kind of play that serious role in Japan, where Japan is very much still the sport in sports entertainment, whereas the United States is very much the entertainment of sports entertainment. There's still the sport element there, but it's very entertaining. And, I disagree to an extent that Gallows and Anderson have been misused, because I personally feel like they've been used very, very well. I think their tag team run should have come a little earlier.
I agree with that as well.
I think that they should have been the one to end the New Day and not Cesaro and Sheamus.
I definitely agree.
So from that aspect, I would agree. But as far as the way that they're being used, despite having AJ Styles break off and drafted to SmackDown, I am a fan of how they've been used. I'm a fan of that team. And I know I asked you who you got. I don't think you mentioned that.
Yeah. I'm going to take I honestly think it might be Enzo and Cass's moment. I think Enzo and Cass will take it and get their WrestleMania moment. I think we're going to see a lot of crazy things out of Cesaro, as always with WrestleMania. And him and Sheamus always just kind of fire. They at first it was a weird. I looked at the tag team and I was like, I don't really see it. And then they grew on me. And just Cesaro is always performing top notch, 150% all the time.
He always delivers.
Absolutely. So I think it's going to come down to a lot of moments. I think this match is going to have a lot of moments, but I really, personally, I'm hoping we see Enzo and Cass get a WrestleMania moment.
I'm going to go with you on that one, 2 for 2. I'm taking Enzo and Cass only because it's their time. They are, with New Day not really, competing, not competing at WrestleMania, they're hosting, but New Day, if New Day is the top most over popular tag team in the WWE, Enzo and Cass are 1B, so it's their time. It makes the most sense for Enzo and Cass to walk out as the tag team champions at WrestleMania. Next, we move on to the Intercontinental Championship. Champion Dean Ambrose against challenger and winner of the 2016 Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Baron Corbin. Corbin has kind of had a wishy-washy, if you will, I think, year in the time that he got called up to the main roster to the point where he is now. like he's kind of been on the cusp of being that dominant monster kind of thing, and then just for some reason, I don't really understand what they're doing with him. I think this is a good spot for him to really show what he's got. Dean Ambrose is a hell of a guy to show that with. He's all about the business. He's all about helping others. Ambrose, Corbin, Intercontinental Championship. Who you got?
They've both had Corbin had his WrestleMania moment last year, like you said, with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I think that Dean Ambrose really, though, deserves kind of a redemption for that lackluster match with Brock Lesnar. I mean, it was something where awful. I think we were all expecting something much more, especially with Dean Ambrose's, death match, CZW roots, So when the promo was leading up to that match, we're like, oh, you got to go back to your roots. Mick Foley's handing him all these weapons. You're like, okay. And then, the match is leading up where he just walk out on Raw, go under the ring and pull out some weapons and throw them into a moving apparatus full of weapons at that point. Right. I really thought we were going to see a lot more. But instead, we just saw suplexes onto chairs, and it was really disappointing and lackluster, to say the least. So I honestly think that it will be a close one, but I think Dean Ambrose may get the win by a very slim margin.
I think that you are correct, and I could totally see that. Just to play devil's advocate, because we're 2 for 2 already, I'm going to go Baron Corbin. I think that the match itself could redeem the lackluster Lesnar Ambrose match that was, but I just, there's something inside of me that says Baron Corbin's they're gonna give Baron Corbin the opportunity to run with the Workhorse Championship. So I'm taking Baron Corbin over my man Dean Ambrose. I'm sorry, we are 2 for 3. All right, the next one that I have here, mixed tag team match. John Cena and Nikki Bella against The Miz and Maurice. My favorite power couple in the WWE, The Miz and Maurice, and of course the premier power couple, if you will, certainly in their respective divisions for so many years, but now they are together. Cena and Bella, Miz, Maurice. Eric, take it away.
This one's a pretty easy one for me, and I really think it's something that's going to be interesting, and I'm going to throw in a side bet for this as well. I'm calling that Miz and Maurice win, but after the match, John Cena not only gets down onto one knee and proposes in the middle of the ring, but I'm really hoping for the heel swerve where she says no.
You had me up until that point right there. but I will tell you this. I definitely see Miz. This is how I see it playing out. I'm visualizing this right now. Miz, Maurice, Cena, Bella, they're doing their thing or whatever. It's going to boil down to Maurice and Nikki Bella in the ring. Something's going to happen. Maurice is going to end up pinning Nikki Bella. Of course, from a wrestling perspective, John Cena is not the one getting pinned, so it doesn't necessarily mean he's looking weak against The Miz and quote-unquote losing again to The Miz at WrestleMania. He, of course, lost to The Miz at WrestleMania 27, but...
Great match.
Oh, it was a great match. Maurice pins Nikki Bella. They celebrate, they're kind of walking down and they're taunting and whatever, and then you pan out right back into the ring, and there's Cena and there's Nikki Bella. There's rumors that this is Nikki Bella's last match anyways. There's also rumors that John Cena is taking time off after WrestleMania for more appearances and other non-WWE activities. So this makes all the sense in the world. I am with you on the whole getting down on one knee and proposing and having your proverbial Macho Man Elizabeth WrestleMania 7 moment. That we'll see Nikki Bella and John Cena's wedding happen either on Total Divas or maybe even like at SummerSlam, match made in heaven, match made in hell kind of thing, like they did in 1992. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I can see them. They haven't had very many opportunities to recreate that, or recycle that particular story. Yeah. And it happened so long ago that you're looking at almost 2 different generations now of wrestling fans that have been removed from that particular story. So why not bring that one back out?
You're looking at 2 different eras too that have happened since the early 90s,
Yep.
So, I mean, you raise a great point.
That was the end of the Showtime era, or, and then you have the New Generation era, then the Attitude era, and then the PG era, where we are now. So,
well, I would even argue that we're in the reality era, past the PG era, because it's become professional wrestling as a whole has gone from being PG to, it's getting a little more edgy again, and it's becoming a little more of a reality show based on a wrestling show. That's really what it seems to come down to, especially with the Talking Smack episodes. And I think really The Miz has helped bring it to that reality era, because of the fact that you have a guy he's on live hot mic spewing facts.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it, loved it.
Because he not only did it with John Cena, but he also did it with Daniel Bryan. And when he did it with Daniel Bryan, he had everybody inside, outside of the business, all looking at it going, well, goddamn, was that real?
I know. And I watched it like at least 3 or 4 times after it happened, and I'm like, God damn it, they got me. And I love it. I love it when they get me. And honestly, for all the prediction episodes and things like that, and the wisdom that I can spew or whatever, I absolutely love when I'm wrong with my predictions, because then they got me. And that's the best thing. That's part of what made me fall in love with pro wrestling anyways, was the unpredictability, if you will.
Absolutely.
So, all right, moving on. The United States Championship is up for grabs. Chris Jericho, the champion, defending against Kevin Owens. Eric, I'm going to go first on this one. I'm taking Jericho on this one. Who you got?
Kevin Owens. I'm taking Kevin Owens. I am taking Kevin Owens because it's going to be, I really feel like it's going to be a passing of the torch from Jericho to Owens. They had the what was it? The Festival of Friendship, which was amazing with the painting, touching fingers. So good. You can find the painting in poster form on, what was it? WWE Shop or shopwwe.com. It's
WWEshop.com.
There you go.
And shopgear.com. See, I took the shop from my place and put it in front.
So what I mean, it's just Kevin Owens, I think, has built, and I think that Jericho has always been in that position, especially at WrestleMania. For perfect example, when he wrestled Fandango in his debut match at WrestleMania and put over Fandango. I really think that we're going to see a passing of the torch, pushing more or less Kevin Owens to another level of professional wrestling. Yes, he was the Universal Champion. Yes, the U.S. title is a lower tier, but it's how we got here. The story that they used to get here and everything that went into it, I think that really adds to the emotion of it. And the fact that those two are so emotionally connected that they were once friends, now turned enemies. And the only thing that's, more or less separating them right now is the gold.
Okay. See, I agree with that to an extent. However, WrestleMania likes to throw curveballs. I see everybody going in there thinking Kevin Owens is going to win it because of that reason, because it's Kevin Owens' time or whatever, and then WWE kind of throws a curveball and surprise, bitches, Jericho wins. That's my only reason for picking Jericho, is I think that they're gonna everybody's expecting Owens to win. Jericho's gonna end up pulling it off night after Raw. That exact situation, that scenario that I think you presented likely happens, but I'm going to say night after Raw. So okay. I think I got Jericho. And then real quick, I hate to give this one so little time, but we are way over past the point for a commercial break. So real quick, fatal four-way for the Raw Women's Championship. Bayley, the champion, defends against Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax. Who you got?
Oh, man. I would like to think that Bayley retains, but I think Charlotte might pull it out.
I'm going to go ahead and stick with the champion on this one, Bayley, only because if Charlotte wins and wins the championship again, I mean, she's going to break Ric Flair's record for most world title reigns, regardless of division. She's going to break that record seriously in like 3 months. So yep. I'm taking Bayley. I'm taking Bayley on this one, although it would not break my heart, with all due respect to Bayley and her fans, if she did not win. So, all right, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to hear some wonderful commercial stuff or whatever. And when we come back, we will have the rest of the card. Eric and I will be back on Talking Wrestling Podcast. Stick around. I'm often asked about the logos of the show and Gear Network and everything. It comes to me, JC, where do you get the designs, the cool designs for the show and everything? And I want to tell you, I'm going to tell everybody right now, right here, you heard it here, it is Indie Card Media. Indie Card Media is a local business that specializes in making quality designs for your website or your business. Whatever you do, they can do it. If you need proof, you can look at all of our logos, or you can go to facebook.com/IndieCardMedia to see all of the designs, which include a political banner, because they've done political banners and I mean, everything. Nothing is off limits with them. Give Eric a shout at IndieCardMafia@gmail.com, and he will help you bring your design to life. Tell him Gear Network sent you, and hey, he may hook you up with a little something, or at least a smile, because you heard it here. But go to IndieCard Media Facebook. Again, facebook.com/IndieCardMedia. Do it now. Bring your designs to life. Hello, Sanjay. What are you doing? I am using my Gear Network app on my mobile device, my friend. Oh, Gear Network app. What is that? Well, do you listen to Get Ready America? No. Do you listen to Better Life Than Dead? No. Do you listen to Misguided Musings? I do not know. Well, my friend, they are very good shows, and they are on this network. You can download the app by visiting gearnetwork.mobapp.at and download it on your Android device and save it to your home screen on your Apple device. What is Android? That is an operating system. What is Apple? That is another operating system. Oh, but I cannot eat that operating apple? No, you cannot eat that operating apple. However, you can go onto the Gear Network app and shop on the Amazon and have Apple delivered to you. Oh, that is wonderful. Gear Network app. Hooray!
He's just a common man.
This portion of the Talking Wrestling podcast is sponsored by our store through Amazon. If you visit shopgear.com, that's right, shopgere.com, it's going to take you right directly to Amazon, and you will be able to do all of your shopping as you normally would. The difference is, if you go to Amazon using shopgear.com as opposed to regular Amazon, you will be telling Amazon that we referred you, and that helps us out tremendously. Amazon kicks us back a little something to help out with production costs, which keeps this podcast that you love listening to for free, and the guests coming on, and the wrestling knowledge coming your way. Now, shopgear.com. Do that after this podcast. And now, back to the show. All right, everybody, we are back. JC Money, Eric Emanon here with you, talking WrestleMania, making WrestleMania predictions, and we shall proceed, shall we, Eric?
Let's do it.
All right. Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles, the first of 3 one-on-one contests with no title implications or anything like that. Shane McMahon against AJ Styles. Eric, who you got?
I really my heart keeps telling me it's going to be AJ Styles, but I really think we're going to get some sort of tomfoolery, if you will. I really think Shane McMahon might take this. It may lead to AJ Styles being off the SmackDown brand, going to Raw, especially with everything that's been going on. I think I'm really I don't want to say Shane McMahon, but I really think Shane McMahon's going to probably take this one, leading to AJ Styles ending up on the Raw brand.
You see, I know that they have been talking about, doing some sort of trades or whatever, and sending Roman Reigns to SmackDown to be that. I mean, I would guess that a Roman Reigns for AJ Styles trade would be equivalent, but AJ Styles is SmackDown. I feel that yes. that is truly a good spot for him, and the SmackDown brand, in my personal opinion, worlds better than Raw. And I'm not saying that because Harper's there. I'm saying it because wall to wall, I enjoy the program. I enjoy talking smack. I enjoy the brand. So this one, I don't want to say it's an I don't care kind of match, because I anytime AJ Styles is in the ring and wrestling, I care and I watch.
No matter where it is.
Shane McMahon kind of going in there and doing this, I think the build for this particular match was kind of terrible. And
it was rushed.
Absolutely, it was rushed. And I know Shane McMahon's popular and puts on a show every single time. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm sticking to my guy, AJ Styles. I see winning the match and going back to SmackDown to be the face that runs the place. Perhaps a sign of respect. And he's the face there, especially if Roman Reigns ends up coming to SmackDown, because as we will get to in 2 matches when we talk about Taker versus Roman Reigns, I have a feeling that there's a specific direction that Roman Reigns is going to be headed in. But let's move on to the next one that I have here, which is Seth Rollins versus Triple H in a non-sanctioned match. As we all know, the very, very real injury of Seth Rollins almost prevented him from appearing at WrestleMania in any capacity. And I believe that the non-sanctioned match now kind of gives it the idea that, Seth Rollins could be very limited in what he does, and it will be understandable and translatable to the common wrestling fan that may just watch between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So, with that being said, student versus the teacher. Rollins, Triple H. Eric, who you got?
I want and this is a real tough one, especially because we should have had this match last year, but due to the unfortunate circumstances of his knee, we weren't able to get that. And then, like you said, it almost happened again. So, I've wanted this match for a while now. You got a guy as talented as Seth Rollins who's been doing this for a long time, and he's good at what he does. He was a great champion. When he was with the Authority, when he was with the Shield, you knew he was going to be a star. So, I really want Seth Rollins to win. Like that's where I'm going to, and that's my prediction. But part of me just really thinks that if Seth still needs time to heal, could we see a near victory by Seth Rollins and Triple H going after the leg? Triple H, more or less trying to end Seth Rollins' career because Seth's been a thorn in his side. So I think we may see the beginning of a supergroup with Triple H. Obviously he's been teaming. We've seen him teaming on the dark shows with Samoa Joe, and I can't think of the other fellow that they were teaming with. I'm drawing a blank right now.
I'm not sure.
But more or less, it was looking to be like a new evolution. And I think we see more of the Triple H guys show up to assist with the Seth Rollins situation. I think there's going to be a great story told regardless. I think Triple H is an absolute workhorse. And with a guy like Seth Rollins, I think Triple H will definitely be there to help pick up the slack for what Seth Rollins cannot do.
I agree.
But I think this one may steal the show. I think this one may be a shocking surprise for people. When Triple H fought Sting, a lot of people went into it going, this is going to be a real crap match. You got 50-year-old Sting in there with Triple H, who 10 years ago this match would have been great, but we get it now. And then when you see it and you saw, the NWO and DX, and you were like, oh, wow, okay, like this is pretty cool. They're telling a story. I think we're going to get that same sort of thing here with Triple H and Seth Rollins. So, I said, Seth Rollins. Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with you on that aspect. You're picking Seth Rollins, you said? Yep.
I'm going Triple H, and the reason why I'm going Triple H is because of the injury being dangled over everybody's, in everybody's face with Seth Rollins. I think this opens the opportunity, like you said, a very, very close kind of deal where Rollins looks like he's going to be injured and he's going to win, and something happens and Triple H pulls a quick one out and escapes that way, and then continues to hammer on the leg or whatever, and then they resume it. That way he takes the time off to heal.
Yeah.
And then they resume it and cap it off at SummerSlam because they're trying to, they're going all out to try and make SummerSlam as big as WrestleMania. So that's kind of where I feel like my gut is telling me it's going that way. My heart wants Seth Rollins to pull it out. But I'm just gonna say F it and stick with Triple H on this one.
That was my back and forth right there, because it's like, with Seth Rollins being hurt, what is the payoff of him winning? Where do we go from there? And from the wrestler's mindset and more or less a booking mindset, it's okay. So we have this. Where do we go? What's the next step? And I can't really think of what the next step would be.
Exactly.
So like you said, my heart is going with Seth Rollins, and I'm going to stick with it. But like I said, Triple H definitely has the ability to go in there.
Here's something I just thought of.
What's that?
What if Samoa Joe runs out and runs interference in that match? And
that's what I'm thinking.
And then Finn Balor.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Because Triple H and Finn Balor have been working house shows with one another. What if Finn Balor comes out, takes out Samoa Joe, ends up coup de grace Triple H or something, or doing that running drop kick into the turnbuckle that he does.
Yep.
And that opens the door for Seth Rollins and his crutch to just nail him or something. So I could see that. Damn, man, why didn't I think of that before?
That's exactly it. That's what I'm going with.
I have no idea, and I love it. I love it though. That's the thing, is I have no idea and I love it. So I'm going to stick with Triple H just for the hell of it, just because I already said it. So all right, the battle for the yard, The Undertaker against Roman Reigns. Now, I'll give my personal thoughts on this. When they broke the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania 30, hands down the most shocking wrestling moment in my lifetime. And I've watched WrestleMania.
I would say in history.
Wrestling.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, perhaps very much in history, but certainly I've watched wrestling as far back as I could remember. My first memory being in 1985 or 86. I've watched wrestling, WWE programming almost exclusively for that long. And that was the moment of moments for me where I'm like, holy crap, And so now we've got this happening here. And the reason why I mentioned WrestleMania 30 is because it just seems to me like a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania has not been the same since.
And you're correct.
And so while I see this could be the passing of the torch, if you will, it would have meant, I think, that much more had Undertaker come into this WrestleMania beaten, battered, and old, but still undefeated at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Because he has that one loss, that one notch with Brock Lesnar in there, this is more kind of like your dad playing a softball game saying, look, watch what I can still do, kind of thing.
Yep. He's the dad at the former MLB player at the charity softball game.
Yes, exactly.
Cracking homers.
Exactly. And he's like, watch this, I still got it. You know what I mean? But with that being said, all joking aside, I see Roman Reigns winning this one.
So I agree with you. Little from my side. We have Roman Reigns, claiming I'm the big dog, whatever. We had the American Badass Undertaker say, "This is my yard." Have you seen the ramp for WrestleMania? It was just long enough for a motorcycle.
Oh, you think the Badass is coming out?
So, JC, just so you know, the leaked photos of the stage, let's just say the stage is in the back end of the opening at the top of the level 100 section. And the ramp starts there and goes all the way down to ringside.
Wow. All right.
So it's massive. So obviously for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, we're going to have carts running the big guys from the stage to the ring. It's just going to have to happen. It is the most interesting stage I've seen. It's an awesome setup. I'm really excited for it. Mm-hmm. But I really think that if the WWE had one opportunity to bring back the American Badass Undertaker, going against the self-proclaimed big dog Roman Reigns, have the American Badass Undertaker come out. Yeah, this is your yard. No, this is my yard.
I would love to see that.
I would love, as a wrestling fan, somebody who came up seeing that, I would love to see that. I don't think it'll happen, but I would love to see it. I think that Roman Reigns wins, and it's only for this reason. I think Roman Reigns wins to set up a feud with Brock Lesnar because it's a matter of, I beat The Undertaker. Yeah, well, my client, Brock Lesnar, beat The Undertaker first. He was the 1-21-1.
Right.
You are the 2
in 23-2. I see that, and I, again, reading these things, and wrestling, predicting wrestling, it's kind of like armchair quarterbacking for the National Football League. You can't call it. You can't call it.
You never know.
Did anybody call Geno Smith being Eli Manning's backup, possible successor? Now, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where people are saying, okay, well, it makes obvious sense for, let's tie it into the next one, the Universal Championship match, champion Goldberg against challenger Brock Lesnar. Now, it makes sense for Brock Lesnar to win the Universal Championship and carry it for a year on his super part-time schedule. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns is going to be, and has been rumored to be, the next face of the company, the next John Cena. Women and children cheer for him. Men boo him. That he gets that kind of reaction, he gets that kind of pop. Now we head over to WrestleMania 34 at that point. Besides the Universal Championship being up for grabs and what would possibly be Lesnar's final WrestleMania, are we seeing, is the two people, the only two people in the history of WrestleMania that have defeated The Undertaker at that event, colliding in the main event for the Universal Championship or WWE Championship, or whatever they're going to have at that point in time, the main title for whatever show, I think that would kind of be the idea of that. So that's kind of why I'm seeing Roman Reigns winning, is to set up something a year from now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think I wouldn't even go a year. I think, we could even see something like this, going into the prediction, like you said, for the next one. I really, honestly, I have my money on Goldberg.
Okay. Universal Championship.
I'll explain why.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Goldberg, because you have a guy like Brock Lesnar who came in, he ended the streak. You have a guy like Brock Lesnar who's came in, and since his debut, his original debut, has beat the piss, is the easiest way. He's beat the piss out of everybody. Even more so since his UFC championship. Now, you have a guy like Brock Lesnar who goes in and is now beat by Goldberg a ton of times. Goldberg beats him, goes into SummerSlam, and gets beat by Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns beat the guy who beat the guy who beat the guy who ran WrestleMania. Right. That's my mindset with it.
So you've got, I'm sorry, did you say Goldberg winning this match?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not with you there. This is Lesnar. Lesnar's going to win. First off, to me, he's avenging WrestleMania 20, which was a complete S show. It really was. If you want to see a classic Goldberg versus Lesnar match, don't watch the one they had at WrestleMania 20. So you've got the stigma and the sting and the just like vibe about WrestleMania 20. But then in the new generation here, you've got Survivor Series, minute 25 seconds. You've got Royal Rumble, quick elimination there.
Yep.
Goldberg has had his number the entire WWE run that the two of them have had. Goldberg has had his number. This, to me, seems like the appropriate time to have the Beast reclaim the moniker as the Beast and go on his year-long tear to the next WrestleMania where presumably he would be wrestling Roman Reigns. All right, and now in the main event, the WWE Championship, Bray Wyatt, the champion, against challenger, former 12-time WWE champion, Randy Orton. Eric, this story has been done splendid, honestly. It has been done extremely well with Randy joining the Wyatt family and causing the dissension with him and Luke Harper, and Luke Harper now breaking away from the Wyatt family, but it was okay because Bray still had Randy, and Randy didn't want to, he won the Royal Rumble. He didn't want to wrestle Bray Wyatt. Just the way it was done and the loops that they took you on was done very, very well, and the seeds being planted so far back.
Yeah,
that you can go back and be like, wow, you know, you could really appreciate this story for what it is. So it's going to boil down to now Bray Wyatt against Randy Orton for the championship. Who you got?
It's easy in my mind, and I think it's honestly going to come down to Bray Wyatt with the assistance of a Sister Abigail. Not the Sister Abigail like the finishing move, but I think a physical form of Sister Abigail.
Oh, so you think Bray Wyatt walks out of WrestleMania as the champion?
I do, and I think, like I said, I think it's going to be something, especially with the story they told. I mean, Randy Orton committing arson on live television. Desecrating.
That was amazing.
So good. Told such a good story. And I've read a few rumors online about, certain things going on and hearsay and dirt sheets and yada, yada. I don't want to get into that, but I would hope that this entire time Bray Wyatt has been talking about Sister Abigail. Sister Abigail this, Sister Abigail that. Follow.
Yes,
we see the dissension in the family.
But that's been rumored. That's been rumored for years. You know what I mean? That eventually a Sister Abigail will show up, and that's a good thought process, and that's a good theory, and I could totally see them extending the storyline past WrestleMania with Bray as the champion if a Sister Abigail appears in physical form. I really don't know what they're going to do with this one because they've had so many twists and turns with this one. Mm-hmm. Where does Luke Harper fit into this? Does Eric Rowan fit into this? You know what I mean? You mentioned Sister Abigail. Like there's so many different twists and turns, and this is one of the gotcha storylines that I mentioned earlier. This is been one of the gotcha storylines with me. I have had literally no idea what's been going on with this, but I've been in tuned and I've been watching and I've been enjoying it. So from that aspect, I don't know. I cannot consciously give you a winner and say that I am 100% certain that is going to happen. My gut is going to tell me Randy Orton because of the history of WrestleMania and having a new champion crowned and the fireworks and all that stuff. But there's something telling me that they could do a swerve on you, and Bray Wyatt's walking out of there with the title, and maybe even Sister Abigail. To be honestly, I didn't even think of that. So, good on you for that one, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was our WrestleMania predictions. I'm ringing the bell on that one. You're gonna hear that when you listen to it. I just rang the bell, literally. So, WrestleMania. Enjoy it, folks. Real quick, IWF. Let's just run down. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run down the results that came off the top of Eric's Heezy that he provided to me. I may or may not read them in the manner that he sent them to me. Kinger versus Thurston versus Syracuse Kid.
I'm totally. And the worst part is I know his name, but I'm like, I cannot. Like, I'm drawing such a blank on it right now.
He says not sure. He says not sure who won that match. Terrell Kenneth and Rob Sweet, did they go to a no contest? Is that what I'm?
It wasn't a match. It was actually a contract signing between the two for a last man standing match. Terrell Kenneth beat the hell out of him with a steel folding chair last show. Okay. Like around the arena. They had a match that essentially went on the whole show. Throughout the arena and like into the back and then back out to the ring and then through the fans and then the parking lot. It was wild to say the least.
Through the Rumble? They started mixing up in the Rumble. I was right there, front row center.
Yeah. But so you remember that. So yeah, that whole thing happened and then Rob Sweet got powerbombed through his table.
All right, we're gonna run quickly through this because we are close to out of time. Some dude named Eric Emanon beat Kevin Cartwright. I don't know.
Yeah, then he took out my knee like a jerk.
Cassius Cutcher beats who?
It's
like Vince something, right?
Vinny Moon, maybe? Vinny Moon? Is that it?
Cassius Cutcher over him. Mikey Every Night and Chris West against Jordan Falco and Frank the Tank.
I think.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Jordan Falco, hey, listen, I know you're going to be listening to this. You dropped the ball with getting me the results, my man. Listen,
I have a horrible memory.
I'm gonna have to do this. I may have to do this myself come May. Jesus Christ! Vince Valor defeats Thomas Brewington after Thomas accidentally knocks his manager Mirage off the apron and is rolled up.
In the mouth.
Cassius Cutcher came to the aid of Mirage, and Tommy did not take too kindly to that. Jordan Lennox, as we talked about earlier on, defeated Mike Skyros and Mark House to win the IWF Championship. And as we talked about as well, Lennox declared that he pinned Skyros, but he wants to prove he's the champion by beating the champion. Mark House then has the rematch, defeats Jordan Lennox to once again become the IWF Champion, the first two-time IWF Champion in IWF history. And finally, the War Games match, Ron Falco, Cody Deaner, Gavin Glass, and Big Cat Lemmer defeat Kevin Bennett, Johnny Kayfabe, Tank Abrams, and Randy Philbrick.
Randy.
So, that's his name, right? Randy?
Randy. That's every time I see him. Randy.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. May, what's the next show? Is it May 14th?
May 19th.
May 19th. Okay. May 19th, same location in Brockport. We'll have a few episodes between now and then to get you all pumped and hyped for it. And of course, Eric is heavily on the promotional trail, so you may hear him on Pain Clinic or Brother Weeze or
maybe. I'll be everywhere.
But you'll definitely hear him again on Talking Wrestling if you so wish, Eric.
No, I would love to be here.
All right. Well, then with that, we are going to go ahead and we are going to go home. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Talking Wrestling this week, the season premiere here on the Gear Radio Network. Thanks again for listening, for all the plays, for all the shares, for all the downloads, for subscribing to us on iTunes, for subscribing to us on Spreaker, and every other possible podcast place imaginable. You guys are the absolute best. And again, as I alluded to earlier on, shopgear.com, the easiest way to support this podcast and all the others on this network. Eric, as I end with every other podcast that I'm on, I say good day to you, sir.
Good day.
So long, everybody. Good night now.
The recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.